guys, Auntie Speaks here. We're going to talk about some free stuff. We're going to talk about the Inflation Reduction Act. Bring back 1984 again. Okay? If you don't know what I mean by that, then pick up a book. So first we're going to take a look at some free stuff that Elizabeth Warren wants to give out.
Today, it's virtually impossible for a young person to find a high-quality education at an affordable price. That's why I'm calling for universal free college and the cancellation of student loan debt of up to $50,000 for 42 million Americans. My plan will wipe out student loan debt entirely for about 75% of those with debt. It will help close the racial wealth gap, and it will provide an enormous economic boost to America's.
Okay, I cut out the little bit in the middle where she talks about her history and, oh, it's so wonderful, and she was a teacher, and she was blah, 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 blah. But then she mentions that she paid about $50 for college. This is true. My father actually told me how much he paid for college, and it was not a lot. It was, you're talking like $50 or $100 or something like that. So, myself, I got it accepted at schools all across the country. Some of them very, very expensive schools. And then my parents came to me and said, yeah, you got to pay for half. So wherever you want to go, you can go, but you're paying for half. And I said, you know what? I think I'm going to go to this college over here. And it cost me about $7,000 a year. And you know what I did? I worked my way. I worked my way through. I worked during the summers and I worked my way through, and I left college with no debt. Now that was a sacrifice on my part. It was a sacrifice on my parents' part. I didn't go to the college I wanted to, but I went to a really, really, really great college and I got a great education. And why? Why can you not find a college nowadays that's less than 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand? Oh, I don't know, because free money is flowing to every college. Before the Obamas and the Bushes, both, and their let's give money and student loans to all these kids for gender studies degrees, you take a look at that college and say, okay, are they gonna place me? Am I getting a degree that I'm gonna get somewhere? No, I'm gonna get a degree and I'm gonna pay $300,000 for a gender studies degree, and I want the janitor down the street to pay for it. Yeah, that immigrant family who just came from Somalia, who owns their own business. Yeah, I want them to pay for my education. Yeah. Let's take a look at someone confronting Senator Warren on this very strange thing that she wants to do.
I just want to ask one question. My daughter's getting out of school. I saved all my money. She doesn't have any student loans. Am I going to get my money back?
Of course not.
So you're going to pay for people who didn't save any money, and those of us that did the right thing get screwed.
No, it's not anybody got screwed. When we
Of
started
course we did. My buddy had fun, bought a car, went on vacations. I saved my money. He made more than I did. But I worked a double shift, worked extra. My daughter's work, she was 10. So you're laughing. Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. We did the right thing, and we get screwed.
I appreciate
That's all right.
All right, go right ahead. That's a good question. So if you couldn't hear, this was a guy who went up to Senator Warren, who loves to give away free stuff, free college, and he asked her a very simple question. The question is, I did everything right. I saved my money. I worked 2 jobs. My daughter picked a college that she could afford and that I could help her with. And am I going to get my money back? And she says, of course, no. And then he goes on and says, so you're punishing me, someone who did something right, and you're rewarding people who did everything wrong. Yeah. That is the problem with the Democratic Party, is that consequences don't matter. If you would look back like even 15 years ago, 20 years ago, both sides of the aisle talked about consequences. They talked about taking responsibility. You can't just sit at home and get a check. Boy, I suppose that was Bill Clinton and the Republicans who had control of Congress putting forward work for welfare, that you had to work. You couldn't just sit home and do nothing. Well, now we have a Democratic Party that everything should be free. Everything should be free.
Free college.
You'll be debt-free.
Eliminate student debt. We must make public colleges and universities tuition free.
Now reporting, David Muir.
Good afternoon, and we're coming on the air because President Biden is about to sign into law that massive health care, climate, and tax bill called the Inflation Reduction Act. It is a hard-fought victory for the president, bringing down prescription drug costs, the largest investment in addressing climate change in U.S. history, raising taxes on corporations, lowering the deficit.
Inflation Reduction Act. Yeah, so we're gonna reduce inflation. And we're going to do that by reducing prescription drug costs. I don't know how you would be able to do that. Investing in climate change. So spending more money from the government, and that's going to reduce inflation. That would be a really neat trick. And taxing corporations. That's going to reduce inflation. I hate to tell you guys this. This is something, if you're a Democrat, you do not know. Corporations don't pay taxes. And what I mean by that is, yes, of course they pay taxes. All corporations pay taxes. But you know who pays that? You do. Do you think they just get the tax hike and then they just eat it? No, they have to raise their prices. Most corporations live on very, very skinny margins. Much skinnier than you can even imagine. When you're talking about stuff like oil and gas, you're talking about like a tiny, tiny percent, 1 to 2%. Biden went after gas stations. Do you know how much that gas station makes on a gallon of gas? It's like 3 cents. They make all their money off of the concessions in the thing so that you go in there. So this is the Inflation Reduction Act, where we're going to spend a bunch of money and it's going to reduce inflation by raising taxes. Let's see how much money they're going to spend.
$369 billion. That is the total amount of money this will direct to renewable energy projects and to the lowering of greenhouse emissions. It includes $80 billion in rebates, including as much as $14,000 for individual consumers who can claim money back for installing energy-efficient appliances in their homes. Homeowners can also claim 30% tax credits for installing solar panels. And for those who are looking to purchase electric vehicles, there are tax credits worth $7,500 for new EVs, $4,000 for used ones.
So we're going to reduce inflation by giving a bunch of money to rich people? I don't know if you know this, but most electric vehicles, they cost, $30, $40, $50, $60, $70,000. I don't know a lot of poor people who are going out and buying a Tesla right now. So you're gonna take money out of a janitor's pocket and give it to a rich guy who can afford that $60,000 Tesla. And I'm probably completely off base with that. I haven't looked at a Tesla. I can't afford a Tesla. I hear they're really cool cars. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not against Tesla at all, but I'm against, taking money out of Peter's pocket to pay Paul. And especially when Paul's got enough money and doesn't really need a tax credit or solar panels. Oh yeah, you've got $25,000, $30,000 extra dollars to put solar panels on your house, and you want the government to give you $14,000 of it. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Why do the Democrats do this? Why do they think that giving free stuff is good? How much free stuff do they want to give? If you've never seen Stossel, Stossel is super funny. And he has been doing this for, God knows, 40 years, 50 years. He's been doing it for a really long time, calling out horse pucky. Calling out a horse pucky. That's what he does. And he totaled, in 2020, he totaled up what all the people were promising. It's freaking hilarious. And the hilarious thing is that he was totally off base. In one bill, they passed what was like, he was estimating for like all of their programs. So here's a little bit from John Stossel. It's freaking hilarious when you look at it now.
Here's the tally. We added up each candidate's proposed spending. We limit our count to the top 5 in the election bidding. We break it down issue by issue, starting with education.
Triple the amount of money we spend for Title I schools.
Joe Biden's off to a fast start.
Universal pre-K. Free community college.
Plus, he doubled the number of psychologists, counselors, and social workers in schools. $78 billion total. But that's much less than what Kamala Harris would spend.
Giving the American family all that they need.
Harris would also make community college free, but she'd add on 4-year public college and increase government's investment in child care dramatically and give the average public school teacher a $13,000 raise. Her total more than doubles Biden's.
Now, I don't want to show you guys all of it. I put the link down in there. Go to Stossel and watch the whole thing. It's hilarious. He goes through everything. He goes through education, green stuff, healthcare, and then he totals it all up at the end. And he was totally off base because except for the very, very tippy top, like Sanders was like higher. But the rest of them are like 200 million for like the entire administration, and they did it in one bill. Excuse me, 200 million. God, that's a rounding error for this Congress. Whoa, but let's go back to Stossel. Remember, the link is down at the bottom if you want to watch the full video.
How can we afford this? America's already $22 trillion in debt, $150,000 for every taxpayer. Spending proposals. We try to include all of them and figure out the costs, but please, in the comment section below, tell us what we got wrong. Until then, President Trump has the lowest spending proposals. Biden's not that much worse. Buttigieg would double Biden's spending increases, and Elizabeth Warren would spend 5 times more. Sanders is even worse, but even the socialist was edged out by Kamala Harris.
There you go, guys. He even went after Trump. He doesn't like Trump that much. And Trump did spend way too much money. Way, way, way too much money. So I hope to have Democratic people watching this at some point, because I am of the opinion that this country needs both of us. Democrats have slightly different brains than Republicans do. Democrats, their heart is in the right place. But they always complain of, the greedy Republicans. Okay, no. We're not concerned with spending because we're greedy. And the reason for that is we are afraid of power. Okay? Power corrupts. And when you're talking about money flowing from the government, all right behind that wash of money, all you got to think is the people in suits running after it, trying to grab some and put it in their pockets. Half of it is wasted. Half of it is given to their buddies and their friends. It's all a bunch of horse pucky. And the more and more and more the government spends, I got news flash for you. No money comes from the government unless they're going to print it. And what happens when they print it? We get inflation. So whenever the Democrats say free money, your grandma's voice should pop into your head where she should say to you, no, nothing in life is ever free. And inflation is the worst thing that can ever happen. Why? Because it's a tax on the poor. You Democrats keep saying how much you love the poor. Why does everything that you do hurt them? Because those rich people who are now paying $6 $7 in California for a gallon of gas, they can afford it. The guy who is the janitor, the guy doing your lawn, the person who's just trying to get by in life on minimum wage, they can't. So you are hurting them. So it doesn't matter if you think you are helping. Nothing is ever free. You always have to take the money from someone else, okay, which is taxes, which then that corporation is going to pass on to you, or it's going to come as inflation. And if we don't learn this, we're going to have a reckoning, and the reckoning is going to be really, really bad. So Democrats, we need to come together, and we need to realize that we need to have some sense. The debt in this country is out of control. And so that's it for me. I'm hoping you had fun. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video around and tell me what you guys think. Thanks so much.